Welcome back. Now, Puppet on a String, The Town I Loved So Well, and Scorn Not His Simplicity are just some of the many iconic songs that has cemented our next guest's place in music history.
Yes, Phil Coulter has been busy in lockdown, connecting with his many fans online. And this afternoon, he's bringing back his popular Lockdown Lounge on Facebook, where he'll grace us with his beautiful songs and a few stories as well. We're delighted that Phil Coulter has joined us in studio this morning. Good morning, Phil.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Phil.
Pleasure to be here because I've had a belly full of Zoom and Skype and all.
Yeah.
When we all had to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to beat just being,
Well, can I say you've raised the sartorial elegance in the studio?
He certainly has.
Hugely.
Well,
Thanks
when I
very
saw
much.
your shirt this morning, Simon, I thought something's got to happen
has to be
here.
done.
Something's got to raise the bar.
I'm going to show the jump now. It's done.
We're coming off a low base here, but thank you, Phil.
It wasn't hard.
You presented us with something beautiful.
This is
and
gorgeous. Look at
vinyl is back, it has to be said, and there's nothing quite... I was asking you in the wings here, do you actually play it at home? And you do, of course.
Yeah, because, well, I'm old-fashioned. I've been at this game a long, long time. I remember when gatefold sleeves were new, so there's nothing like just having an album in your hands,
Yeah.
Even a CD is better than a download
It's
in
very
my
tactile,
book, but that's the baby there. And I'm delighted that it's having a rebirth, the whole vinyl thing.
When you look back at it, Phil, I mean, it's hard to know where to start with you. Before we talk about the concert today that you're doing and the book and the audio book, let's go back and sort of try and delve into this body of work. I mean, so many things must spring to your mind when you mention highlights, but what are the special moments for you? Was it the first hit record? Was it completing your first song? What was it?
I think, and most recently I was reminded of it again with the Eurovision. I mean, Eurovision was my breakthrough. I'd spent like 2 or 3 years in Denmark Street, Tin Pan Alley in London, just learning my craft, grinding it out. And we had a deal with our publisher where every second Friday, we went into the little studio in the basement to demo 6 new songs, right? That's like 6 completed songs.
Every 2 weeks.
Words, music, and a little arrangement for the house band. Because that was grinding it out. It was learning the craft. Then the following Monday morning, we'd play them to our publisher. He would go through them and analyse where had gone wrong as often as... And 9 times out of 10, he'd throw them in the bin. Because why you think that's cruel? It's not cruel because that's teaching you that don't fall in love with everything that you write. I mean, and that's a mistake a lot of songwriters make.
It's a volume business. Yeah,
but the whole thing is a craft. Songwriting is a craft. I keep saying that. There's no such thing as a born songwriter. You may be born with certain gifts like a flair for music or words, whatever, but you have to learn the craft. And so I'd spent 2 or 3 years learning that craft, just grinding it out, that sort of timetable. So the Eurovision was the big breakthrough. That was the first win for the United Kingdom ever. So it was a great way to announce your arrival. And in those days, unlike today, Simon, Eurovision had a direct connection with the record industry. You won the Eurovision. A, you could put the kettle on for 6 or 7 million records. And B, that song had a strong chance of becoming a copyright. So, like Puppet on a String, 67, congratulations in 68. And then in 1970, I was the publisher, the producer, and the music director for All Kinds of Everything. Wow. And then in 1975, I represented Luxembourg. And that's where I met Geraldine Brannigan, of course. Geraldine represented Luxembourg. I met Geraldine in the auditions to find a singer. Wow. So Eurovision plays a big part in my life, personally and professionally. Yeah. So Eurovision was a great way to arrive on the scene back then.
We were talking about Eurovision over the last few weeks, Phil, and I was saying, when I was a child, like I used to have the whole family involved, and I'd have the scores all printed out, and they'd all have to... And it was a real family affair. That doesn't happen now with Eurovision. I know it had to happen differently this year because of COVID as well, but the popularity hasn't been there for quite some time, has it?
From a music industry perspective, the real judgment in Eurovision is there has not been a real global hit from Eurovision for such a long time.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the days of ABBA, Waterloo, that was a global hit. Volare was a global hit. Yeah. These are copyrights that went global, and the songs that are still there today. Now, I would defy you now to go into Ballymount and find a half a dozen people who could tell you 3 songs that won the Eurovision in the last 10 years.
Yeah, you'd struggle.
You're talking about 2 things happened which changed the face of Eurovision. One was when they opened it up to the Eastern European bloc, the Azerbaijans and whatever, all of that. Because their popular music was in a different era from ours.
Yes.
That was one thing. The second thing was when they opened it up to televoting. You know? Once you empower the general public, you know,
God knows what
anything can
happen.
happen.
Yeah. Listen, let's talk about what's happening today, at 4 o'clock today. You're doing, is it a concert, is it a session? What is it, Phil?
It came about when I don't need to tell you guys, our industry fell off the edge of a cliff, you know, in February. So rather than sit about feeling sorry for myself, I, with encouragement of a couple of the younger guys in my team, Dara Hoare, who's my kind of content guy, he said, Phil, the only way you're going to keep a presence with your fans and followers is online. I had no presence online up until then. So I'm an old dog who had to learn new tricks. So the first thing they did was do this lockdown lounge every Saturday. Exactly started a year ago today.
My God.
Yeah. And we Saturday afternoon, we would do like 30, 40 minutes at the piano, play a few tunes, sing a few songs, tell a few stories, and read an excerpt from the book, Bruised Never Broken.
So that's what people can expect today, Phil.
Yes.
Songs and stories.
Songs and stories. And what happened as I was reading excerpts, were more and more comments to do an audiobook. So we did a poll earlier in the year, say, are you up for an audiobook? So the result was like an avalanche.
Overwhelming,
So I decided, well, let's just roll
And you know,
up
it's
the
the
sleeves.
next best thing to your fans sitting in a theatre of some kind and having that intimate experience of song, storytelling, you know, and having a piece of Phil Coulter.
Well, that's what it is, yeah, because they react, they put in requests and they chat, and there's a whole community now amongst themselves. You know, they've become friends. So listen, it's been a learning curve for me.
Yeah.
You know, I knew nothing about this stuff. I mean, I really had to grab this bull by the horns.
In terms of looking forward then, looking ahead, I mean, it's hard to think, as you say, it's a year to the day since the first lounge gig that you did. You probably didn't think last year that we'd still be doing it a year later.
Did any of us?
So looking forward, Phil, how do you think it looks for the industry in terms of concerts?
Well, I'm trying to be positive. We're actively now filling out our diary for we would do an Irish tour in November and December every year. That was abandoned last year, of course. But we're actively filling in our dates for November and December this year, trying to stay confident, trying to stay positive, because we just can't wait to get back on stage. And then in the new year, we're planning dates up the north and then in the United States. Because you just have to, you have to.
Because I love the way you say we, because it's not just you sitting at the piano.
No.
There's a whole industry around you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And that's one of the casualties of the lockdown and of our business kind of falling off that cliff, is that very skilled guys, sound crew, lighting crew, road managers, whatever, they've just been, a lot of those guys, in order to kind of pay their mortgage, in order to kind of like feed and clothe their kids, have had to take jobs driving trucks and stuff like that,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
when we do get back on the road, I just hope those guys are still going to be available.
Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for the industry. Listen, we're going to give out details of the gig today. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks,
and
Phil.
as always, a joy to see you.
My pleasure, Robbie.
Thanks a million,
My
Phil.
pleasure, thank you.
Phil Coulter's Lockdown Lounge is taking place at 4 o'clock this afternoon over on his Facebook page, which is Phil Coulter Music. And Phil's memoir, Bruised, Never Broken, is now available online as an audiobook.
It's all modern.
He's up to speed.